The lazy genius, how modern intelligence became the silent extinction event. The truth they didn't teach. You open your phone and everything you could ever want appears in just 2 taps. Delivered tomorrow, sometimes the same hour. The single fact should terrify you, because no society in recorded history has ever survived the moment when survival stopped requiring effort. Yet the mind kept growing sharper. Remember when a broken tool meant a hungry winter? When forgetting to store grain meant watching your children waste away? It's not a coincidence that those same ancestors who lived under that brutal pressure built the Parthenon, invented writing, mapped the stars, and crossed oceans in boats made of animal skins. Hardship forced ingenuity. Necessity sharpened the mind, the way a whetstone sharpens steel. Then something changed. We told ourselves the story that technology would free us to become philosophers, artists, explorers of the soul. Instead, most of us scroll, snack, and swipe right while algorithms decide what we see, who we love, and what we believe. The average person now consumes more information before breakfast than a medieval scholar saw in a lifetime. Yet the same person can barely change a tire or grow a potato. Intelligence, once a survival advantage, has become the perfect parasite feeding on convenience. Arthur Schopenhauer saw it coming when he wrote, "Almost all of our sorrows spring out of our restless desire to be doing something when there's nothing to be done." We mistook motion for meaning. Go back far enough and the pattern is unmistakable. Every great leap in human cleverness was followed by a collapse in human grit. The moment agriculture produced surplus, cities rose, and within a few generations, you get priest kings demanding tribute while the average citizen forgets how to hunt. Rome perfected aqueducts, central heating, and concrete that still stands today, and then spent its final centuries watching gladiators while barbarians walked through the gates because no one wanted to stand watch in the rain. The Mayan calculated Venus cycles centuries into the future, yet abandoned their stone cities when the maize harvest demanded more hands than their elites were willing to dirty. Intelligence without labor is a match struck in a room full of gas. Today, that explosion is global and instantaneous. We have 7-year-olds solving calculus on tablets who cannot tie their own shoes. We have engineers who can model fusion reactors, yet outsource their meals to strangers on bicycles. Nearly half of young men in the West now spend more time gaming than previous generations spent working full-time jobs. Testosterone levels have dropped roughly 1% per year since the 1980s, a collapse without precedence in human history. And every study trying to blame plastics or pollution quietly admit the biggest variable is simply sitting. The body forgets how to be when nothing ever asks it to fight, build, or carry. The mind forgets how to be human when nothing ever asks it to wait. We were told this was progress. We were told comfort would make us kinder, smarter, freer. Instead, it made us fragile. A single week without electricity and the majority of us would starve, surrounded by useless screens. We have become the fattest, most medicated, most entertained generation that has ever lived, and the loneliest. The smartphones we promised would connect us have instead turned us into dopamine junkies, refreshing feeds for the next microdose of novelty. Alan Watts warned us decades ago when he stated, "We have used our technology to remove every discomfort, and in doing so, we have removed the very friction that gives life its flavor." The solution is not another 10-step productivity hack or biohacking protocol sold by influencers who fly private. The solution is simpler and far more radical. Stop believing that convenience is the same as freedom. Start asking what your great-grandfather could do by age 20 that you cannot do at twice his age. Start noticing that every time you outsource another piece of your life, your food, your fitness, your thinking, you hand over another piece of your sovereignty. The chains today are made of comfort, and they feel like silk until you try to stand up. In the coming years, artificial intelligence will finish what industrialization began. It will remove the last remaining reasons for most humans to exert effort. When AI writes the code, grows the food, drives the trucks, and even simulates friendship, the final test arrives. Those who still choose to chop wood, carry water, plant seeds, and lift iron will inherit something the algorithms can never touch, an unbroken connection to the real. The rest will drift into a curated dream, brilliant, lazy, and quietly disappearing. Just last week, the US Treasury admitted that interest payments on the national debt will soon exceed the entire defense budget, a milestone no empire has ever survived. While politicians argue about whose fault it is, the deeper truth sits in plain sight. A civilization that refuses to balance its own books will soon discover it no longer needs citizens who can balance anything at all. The choice is still yours, for now. You can remain the cleverest primates who ever lived, optimize for a world that no longer exists, or you can remember that the same hands that built cathedrals and crossed oceans are still attached to your arms. The fire is still there, banked under layers of air conditioning and delivery apps. All it takes is one conscious decision to stop outsourcing your life and start living it. As always, live deliberately.